Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another reading vlog where I'm gonna be reading Kingdom of Ash. So Kingdom of Ash is the 7th and final book in the Throne of Glass series, and I will link my videos for the 6 previous books down in the description if you want to check those out before you check this one out. And I definitely have mixed feelings about the series. There are some things I really like and there are some things I don't like as much, and the same in terms of characters, even characters that are supposed to be loved. Some of them I sadly don't, but I did really love books 4 and 5. Yeah, 4 and 5. I really loved those 2 books. So I was definitely excited to get into this and definitely very excited to see how the series would end. So yeah, I just want to say that there are definitely spoilers in this reading vlog, and let's get into it. Okay, so I am on page 246, which is a fourth into the book, and Rowan and the people that are with him, they're trying to find Aelin, and while they're doing that, Lysandra is pretending to be Aelin because she's a shifter, and while they're looking for her, Aelin is being tortured, and we're seeing all that she's going through, and Rowan suddenly he feels where she is through their bond, their mate bond, and they head that way. And then the others Chaol and Yrene and the other people from the Tower of Dawn book, they are coming back to join the war, and they're actually going to Chaol's home place, where his father lives, to warn them that the enemies are going that way. And yeah, Chaol's father is horrible. We already knew that. And also, I think Yrene's pregnant. I don't remember exactly what she said. I was like, oh, she's pregnant. So there's that. And then Manon and her witches and Dorian, they were looking for the third word key, but they didn't manage to find it, so they decided to look for the Croken witches instead. But Dorian still wants to find the word key, and so he summons Gavin, who tells him where the word key is, but also tells him to not go there yet because he's not ready. But he definitely wants to go there. But Manon does find the Croken witches, but unsurprisingly, they don't just accept her as their queen, obviously. And then back to Rowan and Aelin. So, Rowan, they decide to create a rumor about Wordstone colors to get Maeve away from where Aelin is, because they know that Maeve would want the colors to put one on Aelin, and they do manage to do that. They accomplish that, and actually I thought that was really smart. And so Maeve is gone, and they think they know where Aelin is, and so they head to the camp where they think she is. And also a messenger of the Valg, he figures out that Lysandra is pretending to be Aelin, or not Lysandra specifically, but he knows that there is a shifter pretending to be Aelin, and it's not actually Aelin. And then Aelin, she manages to finally escape, with the help of someone who dies, or I think he dies. She manages to escape, and that is where I'm at. I'm assuming she and Rowan are gonna reunite pretty soon because they're supposedly in the same place, unless they're not in the same place, but I think they are. So I think they're gonna reunite soon, and I'm definitely enjoying it. I'm not obsessed with it because what is happening is the everyone is doing like the task that they were assigned at the end of the last book. So it's nothing like insane. The only like insane parts were like Aelin's torture. That was crazy. And I mean, obviously, like it was horrible. It was not fun, but it was like, good. And the rest, I'm like okay about, but not obsessed. But I'm definitely invested in all the different tasks and plots that are happening. So like I am really enjoying it. I'm just not like obsessed with it yet. I can definitely still be obsessed because I have so much left to go. But so far, those are my thoughts. And I will talk to you once I am around halfway through this brick of a book.
Okay, so for you it was probably just like a few seconds since the last time I talked to you, but for me it has been a month because I went through like the worst reading slump ever, and I was gonna update like halfway through the book, but then when I got to halfway, I didn't really have much to say because nothing was happening, and then I was like, okay, so I'm gonna update like 75% in, but when I got to 75%, too much was happening, and like I could not stop there because like it was too much that was happening at the time. So I think I'm like 80% in. I'm on page 784, which is this much. And well, I think like the last time I talked to you, Aelin was about to go meet the others, and like so like she does meet the others, and with others I mean like Rowan and the people who are with him. And we also find out that Irene is indeed pregnant, which I mean I was 99% sure she was, so there's that. And also I think Kale and like all the people that came from the like the Tower of Dawn book, they all like reunite with Aelin, and also Manon, like she goes talk to the witches, the Croken witches, and basically asks them to, fight with her. And they're most of them don't want to do it, which is understandable because like Manon's kind of witches, although like she's also broken, but like her other side, those witches like always hunted the Krokens and like wanted to kill them, so understandable. And also there is like a battle, and the like witches, the evil ones, they are like attacking in a very powerful and dangerous way, so that is not, the battle is not going well basically. And then it was when things actually started getting interesting, which was when Manon was still with the Krokens, and then three witches, like the three leaders of the three covens of like the bad witches, the evil ones, they show up, and one of them is like Manon's grandmother, and like she fights all three witches, and she kills the one that has like the crown that belongs to the Croken queen. And so she kills that witch, and another one escapes, like she just runs away in fear. And then instead of like killing her grandmother, Manon like lets her live and leave because she and like other witches, they think that it's more embarrassing for her that like she had to run away from Manon than if she had just died, because if she had died she would be like a martyr or something. And so that was like really fucking iconic from Manon. That was an amazing scene, or like some amazing scenes. And then the Croken witches, like they do give Manon the crown because she was like giving it to them, so but they do like crown her as the Croken queen. And then they're like called to help the others in the war, and they do follow Manon. And then Dorian, who was with Manon and the witches, he goes to Morath to find the last word key that Erewhon, the Valk King, has there with him. And so he gets to Morath and he realizes that Maeve is there, and he like overhears Maeve and Erewhon's conversation, but then Maeve like finds him and she wants to like make a deal with Dorian to steal the word key from Erewhon together. And like Dorian does pretend to agree to that, and like he gets the key, but then he tricks Maeve and like he runs away with the key and then destroys Morath, even though like he is 99.9% sure both Maeve and Erewhon would survive that. And honestly, like that was the first time I thought like Dorian was like really cool. And you know, there are two problems with that because the first one is I only thought he was cool because of like his magic, because like he's really fucking powerful now, and like his magic was really cool and what he did was really cool. And you know, that says something about him as a character. And the second problem is the fact that his magic was so powerful, because he's been practicing for what, like a couple months, if it was that much. I don't know how long it was, but definitely not that long. And he was able to like trick and best a like centuries old creature like Maeve. So that's, you know, convenient. But also I actually like Dorian and Maeve's chapters. They definitely had an interesting dynamic that was actually like pretty interesting. But yeah, like Dorian leaves and then we get back to Manon, and that's when everything went crazy. And that's when like I got to the 75% mark and I couldn't stop, because Manon is, you know, there with her witches and like reaching the war, and then like she's attacked, and she's attacked by some of the other witches. And like the end of what was supposed to be the last page I read before updating was: Iskra Yellowlegs was already smiling. The world tilted and spun, but Abraxas, roaring in pain, kept in the air, kept flapping, even as Iskra's bull pulled back his head, only to close his jaws around Abraxas' throat. Like, there was no way I was gonna stop there. And then I I actually cried in this book, which is shocking. This is like the third book ever in my life that made me cry, and that is because they made the one character I actually really care about suffer in like such a horrible way. So basically, like Braxus was, you know, being attacked by the much bigger wyvern, and like he was trying to find a way for like him to be the only one who died and try to save Manon, and at the same time Manon was trying to find a way for her to be the only one who died and save Abraxas. And I literally thought Abraxas was gonna die. I was already like feeling the tears coming, and I was so sad, I was so stressed, I was going through it. And then like another witch appears and like she saves Manon and Abraxas. So I was like, okay, that's okay. And then Manon was like getting ready to go, honestly, like kind of sacrifice herself to go stop the other witches who were attacking in that very dangerous way I mentioned. But she was gonna like take someone else's wyvern because Abraxas was injured and he couldn't fly yet. But Asterin, she like punches Manon or something to like, you know, stop her for a second. And she says like, survive and take our people home. And then she and the other 12 witches, they get on their wyverns and they go towards the other witches. And Manon obviously couldn't follow because her wyvern can't fly and all the others are gone. And basically they're all like going to sacrifice themselves, and Manon saw that, and it was the saddest thing ever, because like she saw them all die basically, and she just like broke down. And like the thing that, you know, really hit me is that like those kind of witches are supposed to be, you know, ruthless and emotionless, and they're not supposed to feel anything. And like she was, you know, so like sad. And yeah, that really got me. But like the sentence that really hit me was, you know, she was like suffering and she was like going to the place where they all died, like after because like they caused an explosion and like killed the other witches basically. And so after everything has settled, Manon was going there, and she was like, you know, on the floor where they all died, and everyone also followed, and they started like throwing flowers and things to where they died, and like the fact that, you know, no one really liked or trusted the witches before, like, and they were doing that, that really got to me. And it said, they didn't speak, and neither did the streaming line of people who came after them. A few wore flowers, but many brought small stones to lay on the site. Those who had neither laid down whatever personal effects they could offer, until the last site was covered, as if a garden had grown from a field of blood. That's a line that made me cry. That also broke me. So there is that. And then finally, Dorian meets with Aelin, and like he has the 3 word keys now, and you know, also time to sacrifice themselves, I guess, or like choose one of them to sacrifice. But Rowan actually suggests that like they do it together, like Aelin and Dorian, because he thinks that like maybe if they do it together, it won't kill them, because it's like the power, you know, being separate into 2 people instead of just one person, like going through all of whatever they have to go through. And so they agreed to do it together, and they do, like they use the word keys, they enter some kind of dimension. And you know, Dorian realizes, because we're following his POV, like he realizes that it is actually gonna kill them both. And then like someone shows up, and that someone is Dorian's father, and he's like, I'll do it instead of Dorian. And Aelin was like, you weren't chosen. And he says, nameless is my price, because that is kind of like the prophecy. And you know, up until this point, they and me, we just assumed that it was nameless because it could be anyone from like that bloodline. But first of all, he says like, I do like come from that bloodline, obviously, like he's Dorian's father, but also he's like, what's my name? And no one can say what his name is, and so he says that Erewhon stole his name to just make him like a puppet, and like even he doesn't remember his own name. So like, nameless is my price. And then I realized that like he was never named in the whole like 7 books. No one ever, or like 8 books, I guess, no one ever said his name, because it was either like Dorian saying my father, or someone saying like your father or his father, or just like the king, or like the king of Atherland. It was never like king something. He was never named, and I had never realized that until now. But that's so fucking clever. Like from the author, that is so fucking clever. But yeah, Aelin kind of like yeets Dorian back to their world, and his father takes his place and is there now with her, and that is where I'm at. And so yeah, like this book was so boring to me for like 400 or 500 pages, and now like everything is happening, and it even made me cry. So yeah, like now I'm enjoying it, now I'm invested. And I mean, like the thing is, like I said, I cried because the only character I really care about was like suffering so much. And overall, like I only really care about Manon, but like overall I do really like the witches, and like their death was very impactful. And like when Dorian and Aelin were, you know, getting ready to sacrifice themselves, I felt nothing. First of all, because I don't believe either of them will die. I mean, Dorian is already safe, and I don't think Aelin will die either. But like, even if they did die, I wouldn't care that much. Like, I would be a little sad if Aelin died, but not like, you know, devastated like I was when the witches died. But like, if Dorian died, I honestly wouldn't care one bit. So there's that. Like, I felt nothing, but it is exciting. Like, the plot is getting exciting now, finally. And I have just a little under 200 pages to go. And yeah, now I'm finally excited to finish this book. So I will hopefully finish it in the like next couple days. And yeah, I will get back to you with my final thoughts on it. Okay, so I finished this book, and Aelin, she finds like the gods that promised to take Erewhon away, but she realizes that, you know, they lied and they actually never had any intention of actually helping her. So she like kind of like banishes them to a hell dimension, and then she realizes that Rowan had like
he had made a tattoo on her like before she went to do that, and she realized that he put word marks in the tattoo, and that is like a way for her to get home. And so she gets back to, her world, and Erewhon wasn't taken by the gods, so they still have to fight, and there's more fighting, there's more people dying, and then Erewhon and Maeve show up, and Lysandra and Dorian actually like kind of combine their powers to kill Erewhon. And before Erewhon dies, like Dorian wants to know what his father's name was. And his father's name was actually Dorian, and the only time he like subconsciously remembered his name was when like he had his son, and that's why he named him Dorian. And then they do kill Erewhon, and like his entire army collapses after he dies. And then in terms of Maeve, Aelin is the one that kills her, and they basically like win the war, and Aelin is crowned as the queen, and like Aedion finally like has his blood oath to her. Yeah, the witches go back to like their land that was cursed, and now they can like go back there, and like all of the witches go back there, and Dorian is the king of his kingdom. And yeah, that is pretty much how it ended. And let's go into my final thoughts. So I definitely have very mixed feelings about this book, but starting off with the characters, the only characters I really liked in this book were Manon and like the witches that were on her side. And then Aelin. I also mostly really liked her. Everyone else was just okay. Like, I didn't hate them, I didn't dislike them, but I also didn't love them. Like, they were just okay. Except Dorian, like he never grew on me really. There was like in a book, I think maybe like book 3, not entirely sure. I was like, okay, maybe like he's growing on me, but he actually didn't. So there's that. And then the pacing I thought was like all over the place, honestly. Like the first 200 pages were fun. The last 250 to like 300 were absolutely insane and wild, and like everything was happening, and I was so invested, so stressed, so like into it. But the other 500 pages were so boring to me. Like, I was really bored. I was just really done with this book. And like, I do like the plot. I thought it was really interesting, but I thought it was way too long, and things were going way too slow in like the middle 500 pages. And yeah, definitely boring. And I did like overall how the characters ended up, like at the end of this book and at the end of the series. And I thought it was like a good ending. And like I said, the last fourth was absolutely insane and wild. But I can't just ignore the fact that I was bored for 500 pages. So as much as I like the ending, I don't think I can give it more than 3.5 stars. And overall, I do like the series, but it was definitely not like a all-time favorite series like I know it is for some people. Sadly, it didn't work that well for me, but I still did enjoy it overall, and I do want to read the other series that this author has written. And yeah, like I said, I do like the ending. I did like the way that it concluded, like the plot itself, and also where most of the characters ended up. I did enjoy it. And yeah, that's it. I finished the series, which is insane. I never thought I would be able to finish this book because it took me over a month, but I finished it. And yeah, like I said, overall, I did enjoy it. Overall, it was a pleasant experience. But that is everything for this video. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you have enjoyed it. And if you did, give it a like and subscribe. And I will talk to you next time. Bye!